Hello everybody and welcome to another Misfit artist tutorial. Today we are continuing some lettering work. As many of you may recall, we had a tutorial where Ace went over the basics of lettering, and I'm going to be going over how you could take said lettering and animate it via After Effects. So the first thing that I'm going to do is pull her lettering in. And this is basically the first step, and it's kind of something you want to consider as you're doing the lettering and not, halfway through. But anything that you want to animate, it will be easier to animate it if it is in its own layer. And you will see what I'm talking about in just a minute. So, so here we have, oh, it didn't come in the way I wanted it to, actually. What a bummer. But as you see, we're animating the word whoosh to this little scene, which I'll go ahead and do a quick little playthrough because we've already done the character animation. So what that leaves us is, like I said, the lettering that we just think will add a little extra pop to it. So give me just a minute. Where's my arrow layer? Arrow, where'd you go? Oh, there she is. Woo! So we have this arc that we know she's going to travel. Yeah, so basically, she's getting thwapped right off that roof. And basically, to animate it thus far, we're using the tips I've already given. Anything that you want to move is its own layer. We know that we want the lettering to follow the arc of arrow, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull up the reference that Ace had made, or the final image that she had made. I'm going to pull up in another screen here so I can keep an eye on it. And my first step is just going to be getting the letters where they need to be, because After Effects thinks it's helping by putting everything in the center, and it kind of is, but obviously that doesn't help a whole. It's kind of weird. The first thing I'm going to do is just drag them into their appropriate spot in the sorting of the layers. So let's see here. I think we want it. And as you can see, there's a lot of layers at play here. So it's very important to try to name them in a way that you can find them quickly. So this back layer, for instance, that's that. So I think we're good to go. Because again, the bottom line is that the letters we want to be behind the characters and behind the main buildings. So with that, let's see. I'm actually going to go ahead and... So that's our H. So like I said, I'm going to do a few things here. We're going to rename it just to H to make them easier to track down. And I'm going to move... What I'm doing here is I went up and selected the pan behind anchor point tool, shortcut Y, and I will move the anchor point so that it's on the H. This way now I can go in, and if I want to use the transform effects and I want to scale it or rotate it, it's rotating on that axis instead of before it would rotate on over here, which isn't really what we want to do. So we're going to go ahead and put that there. Like I said, first things first, and they should already be rotated the way we want them to be, so that's one thing we don't have to do a whole lot of. And we'll just, yeah, it's this part's a little boring. I'm very yeah, that's a pretty good one. Okay, so we have this. So we know that all, so we're basically we're animating backwards here because we have this already done. We already have the character motion. and this is going to complement that. And obviously we know what the end frame we want to look like. So I'm going to come in and add some preliminary keyframes for their position, for all of the letters, position, scales, and rotations. Basically anything that I think I'll use. So let's start with the F because we want the F to move first. And we'll basically just do this. The steps of this is going to be pretty similar, just, you know, one after the other. But we're going to set another bunch of keyframes. And we're going to scale it down. We're going to move it over to here. And we will rotate this way. So now if you look at it, and we'll turn off the visibility for all the other letters so not to distract us for a little bit. So if we watch it now, bonk. So that's that. And again, you can imagine if all letters were doing that, it'd be interesting, but again, we're not done. The next step is going to be, because as you can see, this is one of my favorite things about After Effects. It makes this little graphical representation of the motion. This is kind of lame, if we're being honest, though. I mean, it's just a straight line. It kind of doesn't make sense. It's cool, but again, you can see where we'd have some issues. So what I will do is, so we know that our animation is something like 3 seconds and 12 frames long, so 3.5 seconds ish. Somewhere around there will be our middle ground. So basically just, so I'm going to want this to be a little bit there, and you can move these to adjust your ease ins and ease outs a little bit. So now, just with that, I'm going to let the F, I won't let the F get ahead of her a smidgen. So, the reason I want the F to get ahead of her is just to make a good trail for everything else. So, if we just take this, move it a little bit more this way, and then I'm going to actually copy the position keyframe and paste it. Because what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of follow through here. And you don't really have to. You don't have to go by all the same animation rules that you do for character animation when you're doing this kind of, I don't know what the best word is, motion graphics animation. But I think it really helps. There might be some people who very much disagree and say, yes, you still have to follow all the same rules. And again, I think that's for the best. Now, the other thing that we're going to do is we're going to have a little bit of an ease in. Right now, I'm just poking at the position because you can edit all of the effects independently. So let's see here. Let's just go ahead and do this. We're just going to pull it back a little bit. So now if we watch it, let's see what we have now. Okay, that's I'm not a big fan of some of this here. So let's, yeah, I thought that looked weird. So let's go ahead and we'll delete a few of these. And we'll just kind of, that's not the problem I was having. Let's see about, I see what happened now, yeah. Okay, I accidentally copied it twice. Okay, so let's see how this looks now. Whoop. So let's go ahead. If we take Control C and Control V, separate these out a little bit, and basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to make it slow down at the tip of this arc here. We're just going to do a little bit of this. We don't normally want those control points intersecting too much there. Just think about when you're if you're rolling something up a hill or if you're throwing something up, it has that little moment of like almost stopping, and then it kind of plummets down. Let's go ahead and we'll take that there. Definitely, it's giving me some feelings. That's for sure. And you want to be reaching its fastest. Theoretically, it should be its fastest right before the follow through. So let's take this. Let's try making this a little bit more. Get out of here. A little bit more extreme. Yeah, I'm liking that a little bit more. Yeah, you just feel it out. You see what you end up liking. Let's see. I guess theoretically we could actually take this out, because it would probably be similar. It would be fastest at the launch before it gets peaked, and then fastest again. Yeah, so let's actually go ahead and we'll make this part here so let's see here. I'm basically going to bring all of these keyframes a little closer to each other so that, again, we want, it's kind of like the opposite of easing in, easing out. We're kind of fasting in. It's like fast, slow, fast, ease, I guess. Yeah, let's see about. Maybe even bringing these over and moving them a little bit more so that. Oh, I kind of like that. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. And then as for the rotation, that'll be what we hit up next. Because I actually want the rotation to do a little. I want it to feel like it's dragging almost. And then again, we want to make sure that we have this kind of lashback, which would actually be, would actually happen after it's done moving. So it goes woo, bonk. Yeah. Do this here. When you're playing with rotation, you want the tip of the object to be where the bottom was before, and that's how you get a good organic follow through. And then for scale, there's not going to be as much I do with that. I'm basically just going to keep it smaller, longer. Because basically I want it to still be small here. We're going to let it scale up a little bit. Let it get up to about 50%. And then by the time it gets here, we'll let it be at 104. Then we come here. Boop. Yeah. Bonk. Yeah, and then like I said, we'll basically just do that with each individual letter. So one of the things that we want is they're not all going to be doing this at the same time. We're going to have them kind of taper here. So let's go ahead and try that without the arc line. Ooh, that is really something. Remember, one of the things that will sell this very well are the scenes before and after this. In the storyboard, maybe we'll put it up here. Because it's very limited character animation. Arrow's actually, her animation is very funny. The bad guy captain there, his is just a little. He's actually barely even doing any actual punch. He's really doing more recovering from the punch. So the scene before where he throws the punch and the cut to it making contact with her face, that editing is what's going to make this very great. However, the editing is only half of it, just like this is only half of it. This is a very fun image that we end up with. And it's sold by the editing. And the editing helps it flow. However, it can flow as much as it wants. But if you don't have these good, fun impact shots like this, then it doesn't really matter how much it flows. But this is, like I said, a relatively quick and easy way to record or animate lettering in After Effects. I hope you all enjoyed it. Let me see how long we've been recording here. This took us just under an hour. So keep that. And there was a lot of painting and a lot of illustration in this beforehand. But as far as the actual animation goes, this was less than an hour worth of work, and I was explaining a lot of it. So let that be a lesson just for how doable this is. Even if you're like, oh, I don't have After Effects. You can do this with other programs. I know Photoshop has some animation tools. You can do this in Toon Boom. You can do it in Krita probably even. It's just a matter of remembering on something like this, the letters need to be legible. Make your letters well. Make sure that you know where they'll end up and animate almost backwards. Remember that. This is the thing with all animation. If you know your beginning, your end, get a strong middle in there, and then it's just a matter of piecing it together from there. But if you know how it starts and ends, you're going to have a much easier time. Yeah. Hope you all had fun. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. Maybe even share a little bit of what you make. Share us your lettering. Share your animations. Share your experiments. We want to build a community of weird and sometimes spoopy fellas and gals and everything in between. So have fun out there, stay safe, and stay weird. Bye.